Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
The Presbyterian moderator resigns as the church apologises for years of serious and significant failings in how it dealt with safeguarding.
I've decided it would be best at this time for me to step aside from my current role.
And we are without excuse, and I'm holding up my hands to you and to everyone who's watching and saying we're sorry, we got this wrong.
It's doctors' orders. Medics plan to hold a vote of no confidence in the health minister.
The Omagh bomb inquiry reaches agreement on handling sensitive material relating to the terrorist atrocity.
And the Northern Lights were dancing last night, but we do have quite a lot of cloud tonight, so they may not be as visible. I'll have all of the details coming up shortly with the forecast.
The moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Ireland, the Reverend Dr. Trevor Gribben, has dramatically signalled his intention to resign after the church revealed a catalogue of failings over safeguarding.
This afternoon, the church issued an apology after confirming a number of people have been harmed and placed at risk as a result of serious and significant failures that were exposed in an internal review. That investigation spans a 13-year period from 2009 to 2022.
Well, our crime and security correspondent Sharon O'Neill has been following developments. She joins us from the headquarters of the Presbyterian Church in Belfast. So Sharon, was this expected?
Absolutely not, Paul. An email dropped first thing this morning telling us there would be a press conference here and that it would be of significant public importance. And now we know what it is: the resignation of the Presbyterian moderator, the first in its history, and the Reverend Dr. Trevor Gribben only took up the post back in June, and here is what he had to say.
Although not directly responsible for the professional delivery and oversight of safeguarding within the church, nonetheless, serious and significant failings in our central safeguarding functions occurred partly during my tenure as General Secretary. In light of this, I have decided it would be best at this time for me to step aside from my current role as moderator of the General Assembly, the Church's chief public representative.
Well, at the heart of this is the protection of young people within the church, and a safeguarding team review found that some of those young people were badly failed. It found that situations were not raised with the authorities, that convicted offenders were not properly monitored, that those who needed help were not given that help. And this is what the Reverend Gribben said about that.
The Church's first and greatest concern about this is for the people who have suffered harm and those who have been put at risk. The Presbyterian Church in Ireland profoundly regrets this, is deeply grieved, and will offer all possible support to those affected.
Well, the moderator wasn't taking any questions, but after the conference, I spoke to his colleague, the Reverend Dr. David Bruce.
What would you say to the victims?
We would say to anyone who has been a victim of abuse or has sensed that they have been impacted by any of these issues regarding within the framework of safeguarding, we would love you to feel able to talk to us so that you can tell us your stories, and we will offer you and give you all the support that we can. That is our primary concern.
We just heard that the number of victims at present are in the low single figures, but there's so much you don't know. I mean, there could be many more.
Which precisely describes why we've taken the initiative today of speaking to you and to others about this. We want to know the scale of the issue. Our sense is that it is within a limited scope. Our prayer is that. But I have to tell you that one victim, one person who has been impacted as a result of our deficiencies is one too many.
You said sorry that you let these victims down, but surely that doesn't cut it.
I agree that words are cheap, but I would say that behind the words that we have used today is a deep-seated commitment to reform and restructure the way that we manage safeguarding.
Well, this is undoubtedly a huge crisis for the church, but there are new revelations tonight and they revolve around how did the safeguarding team know to look at all of this. And we can reveal to you that it was the PSNI who contacted the church back in May. And that came because of the conclusion of a court case, a sex abuse case involving a member of the Presbyterian Church.
Sharon O'Neill at the headquarters of the Presbyterian Church, thank you very much indeed. And before we move on, we apologise for the technical issues in the interview there with the Reverend Dr. David Bruce.
Now, GPs are to vote on a motion of no confidence in the Health Minister and his department following months of disagreement over funding. And as relations between GPs and Mike Nesbitt continue to deteriorate, they have threatened to consider a referendum on general practice leaving the NHS completely.
The matters are to be discussed during a local medical committees conference on Saturday. The Health Minister said his door was open for GPs to discuss their concerns. Here's our health correspondent, Deborah McAleese.
When I took up post, the last thing I was looking for was a fight.
He mightn't have wanted one, but he got one. And it has been brewing since this day 6 months ago, when Mike Nesbitt told the Assembly he didn't have the extra funds that GPs said they needed, followed by this comment about public frustration over GP access.
How could I look somebody who's just phoned 115 times to their GP unsuccessfully and say to that person, yeah, but I'm giving them another 80 million?
Any attempts to repair relations over the past few months appear to have failed, with a motion of no confidence in the Minister and the Department of Health due to be tabled at a major GP conference this weekend.
This is GPs on the ground bringing forward issues that they want to bring to the committee, which is the committee, the GP committee. So they are bringing forward issues that they feel strongly about. This is really a recognition of the frustration on the ground of what has happened in the past year.
And in another sign of tension between the two parties, the local medical committee's conference also intends to discuss a possible motion to consider holding a referendum of GPs leaving the NHS.
If the NHS didn't exist, if we closed it tomorrow, things would get better. That's how depressing it is at the moment. The market would do a better job than the Department of Health's doing. So from a GP point of view, it's got to the stage where it's really difficult. In fact, it's near impossible to provide healthcare for our patients. We have to do something else.
We don't have enough funding to sustain our practices at the minute. And if it is that you can't sustain your practice, you have one of two choices: either close, which no GP wants to do, or you find another way of bringing income in. There is an amount of GPs who want to seriously look at this.
The Health Minister said that his door remains open to doctors and he is willing to discuss their concerns.
I'm doing what I think is right in terms of trying to advance health and social care to a new position. Which is, as I often say, a shift left, which means a neighbourhood model of care. And GPs will be at the heart of that if they want to be. So I'm open, the door is open. Let's talk about the issues and let's get on with shifting left and making better outcomes for patients and service users.
But dialogue alone might not be enough to end this major fallout.
Well, Deborah joins us now. Why has this vote of no confidence come about?
Well, Sarah, reading through the motions in this agenda, it's almost like a declaration of war on the Minister. There has been a lot of frustration over a long time from GPs about the pressures on primary care, and they believe that the Department of Health has failed to act decisively to stabilise this system. There was a lot of anger when the minister imposed the contract on them earlier this year, even though the offer was overwhelmingly rejected by GPs. The minister says the money isn't there to give GPs what they want, and neither side is backing down.
And how serious is this threat about GPs leaving the NHS, really?
Well, at the minute, I think that it's more symbolic rather than practical. But it is clear that many GPs are looking at different ways of operating. We're seeing more and more private practices opening on the high streets. But the fact that this is even being discussed, it shows that GP confidence in the current NHS system is collapsing. The current model isn't working. But do GPs really want to walk away from the NHS and watch the unravelling of free access to primary care? This conference at the weekend will give a better indication of just how serious GPs are about this, or if this is just a protest tactic.
Deborah McAleese, thank you.
There have been tense exchanges at Stormont's Education Committee as MLAs questioned the department's senior civil servant over Paul Given's recent trip to Israel. Ronnie Armour made it clear he believed officials followed government protocols when the department issued a press release about the minister's visit to a school in Jerusalem, even though it was not a ministerial visit. We can join our political editor Tracy McGee live at Stormont. Tracy, what was the hearing about then?
Well, Paul, the questions around Paul Given's controversial trip to Israel continue today. As you say, it was the Education Committee's turn. Important to say that the minister has repeatedly said that he has not done anything wrong, and in fact when he appeared before MLAs in the Assembly chamber, he said that his senior civil servant had given the trip a clean bill of health. Well, it was that civil servant, Ronnie Armour, who appeared before the Education Committee today. Now, he told MLAs that Mr Given had taken the trip as in a private capacity as an MLA, but he also revealed that the department had taken 10 actions in relation to the trip, and he said that his officials had spent no more, at maximum 3 hours, on the whole affair. He also said in relation to the press release, which seems to be the most controversial part of this trip, in which Paul Given had gone to a school in Jerusalem, he said that the minister had accepted this invitation while he was on the trip, and while there he had requested a press release. Now, that press release was written up. Mr Armour said that he had assessed it, decided that it was non-political and factual, and he had waved it through, and it had gone through all the channels. He said at the time that the press release was sent to him, he was unaware that the OFEC school was actually in occupied territory, and there have been questions as to whether or not the trip actually breached UK foreign policy. He said he knew nothing about that. And as you said, there were very tense exchanges, sometimes angry exchanges between MLAs, but as you'll hear, Ronnie Armour also faced very intense questioning. Here's an example of an exchange between himself and the deputy chair of the committee, Pat Sheehan.
I don't necessarily think it was for me to make a judgment in terms of the wider politics of all that was going on.
Politics, it's international law.
In terms,
it's the law, Ronnie. It's not politics. It's the law, international law. This is illegally occupied territory, and these leaders are wanted on arrest warrants issued by the International Criminal Court. And you think that's irrelevant?
I looked at the visit to the school that the minister had made. I looked at the press release. I assured myself that there was nothing in the press release of a political nature. I did not involve myself in the wider aspects that you're talking about.
And it was revealed the minister has received another invite to Israel.
Yes, now crucially what's important about this invite is it is an official invite to him as minister. Now Mr Armour said that the protocols will be followed on this, but ultimately it will be up to the minister to decide whether or not he goes.
And is it likely
an invitation has been received by the department for the minister to visit a conference or to attend a conference in the new year? That has been recorded in the normal way. That will go out to officials for advice. I will certainly look at that before that advice goes to the minister, and it will be a decision for the minister.
And is it likely this will put the matter to bed?
No, I think there'll be more questions about this, not least of all the fact that the head of the Civil Service, Jane Brady, is also carrying out her review. You can be sure MLAs will seek to have that published.
Tracy McGee, thank you very much.
Now, an agreement on how to share sensitive material within the Omagh inquiry has been described as a huge step forward by a father who lost his son in the real IRA attack.
Some of the documents contain information which could assist terrorists if made public. But a sitting of the inquiry today was told an approach has been agreed that has the support of the bereaved and survivors. Our Northwest correspondent Gareth Wilkinson reports.
The Omagh bombing inquiry is examining if the real IRA car bomb could have been prevented. 29 people and 2 unborn babies were murdered in the 1998 atrocity. But searching for the truth involves trawling through the archives, including what's described as operationally sensitive material, documents containing information which could assist criminals or terrorists planning future attacks if made public. Today, as the inquiry sat in public,
Mr. Greeny, good morning.
News of a breakthrough.
The inquiry legal team has proposed a 3-stage approach and is no longer, as of last night and this morning, the subject of any objection or certainly any substantial objection.
Welcomed by bereaved families.
The purpose of the inquiry in the first place is to make as much information available to the public and in particular to the core participants, the victims and survivors. So, I think that today was very successful. It felt very good that there had been an agreement, because this could have wrangled on into more legal argument, which takes up a lot more time and costs a lot more money.
An update was also given on the work of the inquiry so far. Over 4,000 documents containing more than 65,000 pages have been disclosed. In an unprecedented development, the inquiry has been granted access to oral evidence given in private to the Northern Ireland Affairs Committee at Westminster. It comes from a former police officer in charge of an investigation into the bombing. And work continues with the Irish government to discuss how material held in the Republic can be disclosed.
And we're grateful to the Government of Ireland for what it has done so far, but we have to add that there remains much work to be done.
The inquiry won't sit again until March, when it will examine how the bombing was carried out and who was involved. Gareth Wilkinson, UTV Live.
Let's return to our top story now, and the moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Ireland, Reverend Trevor Gribben, has dramatically signalled his intention to resign after the church revealed a catalogue of failings over safeguarding.
Now, we had technical issues with Sharon O'Neill's interview with the convener of the church, Dr. David Bruce, earlier, but we can now bring you more of that interview now.
To potentially let these offenders go on to abuse?
Potentially so. And that was one of the most serious things that we uncovered in our review, that there were some offenders, a small number, but there were some in our congregations who were left unmonitored. That has, I'm glad to say, been fully corrected with the assistance of statutory agencies. Those people have been identified and those arrangements have now been rectified.
The first moderator in the history of the church has resigned.
Correct. I believe that Dr. Gribben's resignation today was an example of a man doing the right thing. He is the chief spokesperson for the church and this was on his watch. I believe it was the honourable thing to do, but it sends, I hope it sends a signal to those who have been impacted by these events about how seriously we as a people are taking this. This is not trivial. We are determined to move on from here in the best possible way by putting systems in place that are robust.
Dr. David Bruce talking earlier to Sharon O'Neill, and you can see that interview in full. It's available on ITVX. Now, an American tech firm is creating 100 new jobs here over the next 3 years. Biller Genie provides software for making accounting, billing and payments easier.
And it was Northern Ireland's reputation for its skilled workforce that helped it beat off stiff competition from around the world. Barbara McCann reports.
With an average salary of £65,000 a year and hybrid working, Biller Genie has already attracted 20 of the best tech talent. The skilled workforce and thriving tech sector here were a big draw for the US firm.
The company had looked at alternatives in South America and further offshore in India, but really the technical talent on offer in Belfast that they were able to dip into from an engineering leadership, from a development perspective and things like that, along with the InvestMI support, really sealed the deal and brought the company to Belfast.
It's not difficult at all to attract companies like this to Northern Ireland. We have a really strong reputation internationally. This sort of project really plays to the heart of us being a global hub for technology and really where we have strength in cybersecurity and AI.
The Economy Minister visited the new Belfast base this morning to chat with company executives.
I'm really delighted that Billergini has decided to open operations here in Belfast. I think it's a real vote of confidence in a growing sector of cyber and software, a sector where we have real strength, and that is one of my priority sectors as Economy Minister, creating good, high-quality jobs, jobs that are hybrid, so that people from right across the north will be able to take up those roles.
We have a good track record. We have been well known for being global players in that tech space. We're experts in cybersecurity and AI, and absolutely our track record tells us that 60% of our existing investors will reinvest again. So we're very confident that this company and other companies will continue to establish and expand here in Northern Ireland.
With a fifth of the roles already in place, Billergini is expected to fill more jobs in the future, including software architects and engineering managers over the next 3 years. Barbara McCann, UTV Live, Belfast.
And now to some breaking news. Police say they have recovered the body of a man from the Upper Bann River in the Castle Street area of Portadown. The body was discovered this afternoon. A post-mortem will now take place.
The first person to appear in a Crown Courts over the Ballymena riots has been handed a 4-year sentence. Jake Quigley is 21 and from the Drumtara area of the town, ordering him to serve 2 years in jail and a further 2 years under licence. The judge at Antrim Crown Court described Quigley as an active and persistent participant in the disorder. He said he was satisfied the rioting was aggravated by reason of hostility based on race, and that aggregating factor also applied specifically to Quigley's role.
The murder of a man from County Down has left a hole that nothing will ever fill, his funeral has been told. The celebration of life for Jordan Webb took place in Ballywalter. The 28-year-old was found dead at a property in Portavogie on the 3rd of November. A 21-year-old man has been remanded into custody, but charged with his murder.
A 5G mast has been set on fire in Newtonabbey yesterday evening. The network tower was set alight in the Doak Roads area shortly after 7 o'clock. Detectives are treating the incident as arson and say it's one of several similar attacks in recent weeks. Time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
And here's Gamal Fanbula.
Coming up, the Prime Minister is accused of being at war with his own cabinet after the Health Secretary is blamed for plotting to oust him.
Matthew Gravel.
The neo-Nazi who worked at Buckingham Palace is tracked down by ITV News. And the surprise royal appearance on Dancing with the Stars. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Rory McIlroy is aiming to win the Race to Dubai this week for the 4th year in a row. It would be McIlroy's 7th title overall if he is successful this week at the season-ending tournament. McIlroy has been honoured by the DP World Tour by having an award named after him, which will be presented to the player who performs best in the majors.
It's a big honour. I'm so used to trying to play for the Seve Award or the Harry Varden or so I think for me to have an award seems pretty early, but it's very cool. Guy and Eric approached us earlier in the year after the Masters and sort of came up with this idea, and I think it's a great idea, to award the award to the best performing DP World Tour player in the 4 major championships. Obviously to recognise what I've done in the majors, and it's a huge honour. And I can't wait to be able to hand that award out next year.
Time now to find out what's happening with the weather.
I can tell you this, it looks nothing like the weather where Rory McIlroy was. Louise has the details.
After a wet start, weather predictions are looking bright. UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Vortex Boiler.
Hello there, good evening. The Northern Lights put on quite a show across Northern Ireland last night, producing exquisite skies for all to see. If you are a keen stargazer, there is a slight chance of catching a glimpse of the lights once again tonight, but we do have quite a lot of cloud lingering through. We have some rain pushing up from the southeast as well. It's all due to low pressure. It continues to dominate our weather. We have a number of isobars on the chart indicating brisk blustery winds as we move through into tomorrow, but we have a low pressure system edging in as we head towards Friday, which could bring the potential for some heavy rainfall in places, but do stay up to date with the forecast over the next couple of days as we keep an eye on the track. Tonight, quite cloudy at the end of the day. We have some rain pushing up from the southeast, some heavy bursts there pushing across the northwest and the north coast during the early hours. Quite a lot of low cloud and hill fog in places, keeping temperatures on the mild side, holding up at 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. The breeze picks up as we head towards dawn tomorrow morning. Quite blustery winds coming from a northeasterly direction, taking the edge off the temperatures, making it feel quite cool. Quite a lot of rain as well across the northwest and the north coast. Grey, dull day. Temperatures reaching highs of 8 to 11 degrees Celsius. And those winds gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour in places. Across the rest of Ireland, it's a relatively settled day. Plenty of bright and sunny spells in between variable amounts of cloud. Freshening winds and highs of 13 degrees Celsius. So keeping an eye on Friday as we keep a track on that rainfall pushing through, but we will have a brisk easterly breeze blowing in, taking the edge off the temperatures. East-facing mountains will have the strongest winds. They're quite cool as we head into the weekend with a chance of frost on Sunday morning. Bye-bye.
UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Vortex Boiler.
Well, that is UTV Live this Wednesday evening. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on our website. Simply search UTV News. Paul will have the next news bulletin at 10:30.
The ITV News continues with Gamal Fanbula, from Sarah, from me and the entire team on UTV Live. Good evening.